This is how to memorize one ayah a day. Open up the Tartil app, hold down the green mic button, click listen, choose the verse that you want to memorize, choose the reciter as Mishari or Husuri or Minshawi, and click loop, then play audio. Now listen to the verse a few times to get a hang of it, and pay attention to the way he recites each letter to make sure that you don't make any tajweed mistakes. Now, get a tasbih counter and recite the verse 5 times whilst looking at the verse. After 5 times, even if you're not confident, look away and try to recite the verse without looking. You're probably going to make a mistake. So now look at the verse, fix your mistake, and recite it again whilst not looking. Continue this process of looking at the verse and then not looking until you can recite the verse without looking. What you're doing here is engaging active recall, which is far more effective for memory. Now look at your tasbih counter and see how many tries it took you to get to this point where you're able to recite the verse without looking. And now you're going to recite the verse again for this number of times. So for example, say it took me 20 times to get to this point where I can recite the verse without looking. I'm going to recite another 20 times without looking. So in total, I would have done 40. Once you've memorized this new verse, you need to link it to the previous verse. So recite the previous verse with this new verse together for the same number of times it took you to memorize that first verse. So in this example, it took 20 times. So I'm going to recite both verses together for 20 times. And you need to make sure when you're reciting them together that for at least half of the repetitions, you're not looking at your Quran. You're looking away. Now, I've used the number 20, but that will change depending on your memory. It doesn't matter what the number is, but you need to make sure that you stick to this number. Finally, the most important thing about all of this is that you're probably going to make some tajweed mistakes, and trust me, you're not going to be able to hear them yourself. You need a Quran teacher or a hafiz that can listen to your recitation after you complete a surah, because they're going to pick out mistakes that me and you don't know that we're making. If you're going to start this journey, just remember that it doesn't have to be a lot that you memorize a day. Just do what's easy for you. It doesn't matter if it's one ayah, half a verse, a quarter of a verse, or even one letter. Just start something and keep it continuous, and inshallah over time it's going to increase.